Hello folks, Tiso here with a guide on the first Abyssal dungeon. The first dungeon is relatively easy and acts as an introduction. Since this is the first time talking about this, I will explain what's different about Abyssal dungeons first, then go into the boss guides. You can enter an Abyssal dungeon from any main city. Look for the icon with a blue crystal on a silver altar. You will need to finish certain main story quests before you can enter, and the board will tell you the quest and item requirements. Unlike all the other dungeon types, Abyssal dungeons require 4 players to enter. You can matchmake if you don't have a full group, or use the party finder system to try and get players that might know the mechanics already. You can only enter and clear these dungeons once a week per character. If you fail to clear it, you can still enter, but once you do beat the final boss, you cannot enter again even if you don't want any rewards. Each dungeon will have a couple bosses to kill. You can use battle items, up to 5 HP potions, and cannot revive. Yep, you cannot revive during the boss encounter, and you cannot restock potions in the middle of a fight. The top left box once inside will show you how many boss encounters or checkpoints are in the dungeon, and your consumable limit does restock at each checkpoint. These bosses are tougher compared to other dungeon types, with a lot of them having one-shot or raid wipe abilities if the mechanic is not handled properly. Luckily, the first couple bosses does not have any of this and acts as an introduction to the difficulty spike. With that info out of the way, let's begin with the first boss of Demon Beast Canyon. The first boss is Corrupted Vazuela. It is very slow and all its damaging attacks are easy to avoid. Outside of normal attacks, he does have one unique attack that can be considered a softened rage. This is the blood puddles he shoots at random players. The targeted player will have a blue crosshair above their heads. This means a boss will shoot a blood puddle at your location in a couple seconds, and it will create a damaging spot that will stay on the ground for the rest of the fight until the boss gets staggered. To handle this, the marked player should run to the edge of the arena to bait the puddles away from the boss. This gives your team more room to continue to attack the boss. You can also bait the puddles next to an existing one to keep the arena nice and clean. And that's it for the boss's only unique attack. Now onto the regular stuff to watch out for. Like most bosses, this one has a counterable attack when it turns blue. This happens during its spinning charge. It'll curl up like Sonic, then charge forward. Hit it with a counter ability to stop the charge and stun it for a short time. If you miss the counter, the boss will charge across the arena to the other side, hitting anyone in the way. Next up are its basic swipe attacks. They come up fast and hits in front. They do very little damage and staggers the player. It is hard to react to these, but it is not a threat since it doesn't do much damage and the boss doesn't have any follow-ups after. Now for his most dangerous attack, the Body Slam. The boss will leap into the air and land on a player, doing a ton of damage. Its landing spot will be telegraphed by a red circle. You want to stay slightly outside of the circle, then move in once the boss lands. That's because it will do a follow-up attack in the shape of a donut. The center will be safe, while the outer parts will be dangerous. Just position outside the initial slam and dash in or use a gap closer and continue hitting the boss while it does the donut attack. Its last attack is an explosion centered around itself. The red indicator is pretty large, but it takes a lot of time to start, so just run out when you see the huge red indicator. Don't worry, there's plenty of time. When the red circle goes away, the boss will continue doing some damage for a little bit, so you might get hit by a couple ticks if you get back in too early. And that's all the attacks for the first boss. Just dodge the big telegraph moves and properly bait the blood puddles. Remember, the puddles will go away if you stagger the boss. The second boss is normal size and moves much faster. He teleports a lot and have quick attacks that hits around him. There is also one unique attack where he teleports and slashes players until he gets staggered. He usually does this attack a couple minutes into the fight after losing half his health. The screen edges will darken and the boss will take reduced damage. At the same time, 4 orbs will spawn and explode if they get attacked. You will need to bait the boss to hit these orbs. During this phase, the boss will teleport on top of a random player and do a spin attack. What you want to do is have the entire team gather around the same orb to bait the boss to teleport and attack it. Then, have the group move clockwise or counterclockwise to the next orb and bait the boss again. Once the boss gets hit by 4 orbs, he will return to normal. Do not hit the orbs yourself, otherwise it will blow up early and may cause a wipe. Now onto the normal attacks. His counterable attack is a teleport combo. He will blink behind a player and do a slash while glowing blue, then follow up with a spin attack. The slash is not that deadly, but if you land a counter fast enough, you'll get some extra hits in. Here's a quick hook attack that does little damage and knocks you back. Circle around the boss to avoid it, but it doesn't do much damage, so don't worry too much about this quick attack. His orb attack is another low damaging ability that will stagger you. He shoots 5 orbs in a 180-degree cone in front of him. His hand does wind up a little before using this attack. Like the hook, it's low damage and not much of an issue. His ground explosions do a bit more damage, so you want to avoid these. They will have red circles on the ground, so run out of those before the fire erupts. Getting hit will damage you a bit and knock you into the air. He can put blood rings around the players, which would damage anyone else inside the circle. When you have this debuff, move away from other players. If you are melee, then take the hit on downtime and do some range pokes or just wait. If your team has no other melees, then you can stay next to the boss and keep hitting it. His side wave attack will damage the left and right side of him. He will channel this attack for a while, so it's one of the best openings to damage the boss. Quickly move to one of the safe quadrants and get your big hits in. For all these conal attacks, it's faster to rotate in a smaller circle around the boss than to run farther away. His final attack is a frontal cone. This hits around 120 degrees in front of him. It is another slow attack, so if you get to a safe spot fast, you can dish out a lot of damage during this opening. The attack itself will do medium damage and knock you into the air. And that's pretty much it for this boss. No crazy damaging abilities, just a lot of quick attacks and a teleport phase that requires some team communication. Again, this is the intro for the Abyssal dungeons and is the easiest of the batch. The next one will have more raid wipe mechanics that need slightly more teamwork. That's all for now. If these guides are helpful, please smash that like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.